I will focus on what I can automate because this will free valuable time for my staff and deliver value. For me, this is the key.
Welcome to this episode of Open Up Digitals with Cyril Coste from London. The way in which we work is changing rapidly because of the digital transformation of our workspace and the new technological possibilities. And because of Corona, all this change has rapidly accelerated. So how should companies deal with these new challenges? How can employees stay in touch and stay involved? And how can we do things differently or even better? Today, we're talking to Cyril Coste, an accomplished digital expert and thought leader, and ranked #1 on UK's most influential independent digital transformation experts list. So, live from London, Cyril Coste, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, about this digital transformation, people talk about the future of work and about the changes in the way that we collaborate and communicate and do our stuff. Until recently, this was about the digitization, of course. And now, certainly, Corona has had a large influence on that matter. What things do you see that have gotten into gear through Corona?
Well, firstly, it's really not a new thing. You know, the first time digital business transformation term was coined was in 2007. Okay, and after it turns into a digital transformation between 2010 and 2012. So it's really not a new thing. Okay, so if you really haven't done anything before and really you waited coronavirus to strike off, to start, I think there are a few things really that came into gear, as you say. The first one is work has become visible. Okay, there is no more corridor warriors. There is no, oh, my day is packed with meeting and I don't deliver work. This is a time where you kind of work from home, when you have to exchange information with your team or your colleagues that must be measurable and visible. So this is a time of visible work. And I think for quite a lot of leaders, it has been a revelation about, you know, what teams perform better than others, because now they have an agnostic view of the performance of their team, not about who they meet during the day, who they talk during the day. So work has become visible. It's also the end of what I call the bean counters, the CFO. They say all the 5 years financial plan has been trashed, basically. Okay, whatever company you work for, there is no 5 years financial plan. Okay, right now it's cash protection plan, usually reviewing investment plan, and now basically it's a time of people who deliver value. And basically CFOs and their teams are going to review their roles really in the future of the companies. And the notion of productivity also has been redefined. You know, this kind of big meetings with 20 people, blah, 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 it doesn't exist anymore. You need to work in an agile way, you know, without talking agile, but really like a small core team who can focus on one main issue, deliver value, and move on this way. So really the way we have worked from home or with limited access to the office or to your suppliers, to your outsourcers, have really changed the way, one, how we make the work visible, two, with who we interact during the day.
Okay, yeah, that's clear. Now, like you said, Corona is changing that way. We're working now in a different way. It's more visible, etc. But what do you think will be permanent after that Corona has left us, hopefully soon? Or is at least there is some kind of medicine or whatever. What will be permanent? What will stay?
So I was looking at a survey, for example, and it was a survey that since Corona struck in the London area, how many employees wanted to work from home or work from the office. And week after week, there has been a growth in people wanted to work from home or more from work from home. They say 3 to 4 days a week. that's going to be permanent, and it's going to have a profound impact about where people are going to apply for roles. I say now, if I'm in London, I can apply for a role in Edinburgh. If I'm in Manchester, I can apply for a role in London. While even a few months ago, very few companies would have taken the risk. You know that. So this has completely changed the how our companies are going to recruit, uh, uh, and even outside their own country. And we are going to see uh, um, not just this desire from companies, but also from employees, because it's also a much better life-work balance lifestyle. What has changed? Recruitment. I mean, like, except for your last interview, I don't expect you to go to the office and to have one interview, 2 weeks later to have another round, 2 weeks later. I think videos basically have proven to be a reliable way to interview people. I think it was mostly for the future employers and companies to know how to work with interview, to perform an interview, not the other way around. So I think this kind of crisis has basically moved the cursors 4 or 5 years forward. And also, in terms of business continuity plan, mostly it was middle and large companies who had this kind of business continuation plan. But what is the next disaster coming? So we had the financial crisis a bit more than 10 years ago. Now we have a healthcare crisis. What if, let's say in 10 years time, there is a massive outage there is no internet for a month? How does the world survive without internet for a month? So we are going to see these new people in companies, thinking about the worst, because the worst can come and the worst will come. So business continuity, management role are going also to become one of the next big thing in the next few years.
Yeah, I hope we stay online all the time, but indeed it's a good thing to think about. What if we go offline, if the internet becomes not available to us? Now, you're an expert on this digital transformation, of course, and according to you, if you haven't started yet with this digital transformation journey, you're in big trouble. And of course, many companies now had a very quickly start with it because of the corona. They had to move real fast. What can you advise the companies who are just starting with this digital transformation journey, and what should be their main focus?
Okay, so I got a lot of comments from this quote that I made, which was like a specific. It was related to what I said earlier. Basically, digital transformation topic is quite an old one. It's not a new one. But basically, digital transformation is to help to better understand your customers and serve them better. So if you really have nothing right now, the way to start is to gather data, collect data about your customers. How do they buy your product? How do they use your product? How do they ask you to serve and use customer service? So that's basically to really serve better your customers. Do you have this data? Do you have this historical data for each account? Do you know what your customers have ordered? How often they interact with you? This will already give you a big picture. And so this is a kind of external view of digital transformation. And you have the internal view, which is basically how to operate better, how to have a better accounting services and finance, we can focus on interesting things and not review your travel expenses or this type of stuff, so what can be automated, so understand that efficiency is automating something efficient. So you need to already be good at what you do, and then you automate. You can, after, use machine learning, artificial intelligence, to support you in this task. But really, you have these two things: gather data, analyze data, take actions. So if really you are nowhere started digital transformation, start by creating using a CRM file. Be sure that at every step in your organization you document your processes and you put some effective measurement in place to understand what can be improved, how to improve it. So this is really where to start. It doesn't need a massive investment, to be fair. It just needs commitment.
Okay, so commitment and to get to know your customer and collect the data about them. But you were the one who said that a better customer engagement starts with a better employee engagement. So can you elaborate on that? How can companies engage their employees, especially now when they work from their homes?
Okay, so credit pays where credit's due. So basically, this is a quote from Richard Branson. Okay,
Okay. Okay.
I don't take credit. I don't take credit for the quote. I 100% agree with it. I say you cannot serve your customer at 100% if you don't have your employees 100% on board. What does it mean? One, do they do? It's all about the culture. So have they been trained appropriately? Do they have the time to understand your customer needs? Do they have the time to serve your customers? Do they have the tools in terms of hardware? If I have to work from home, do you have my second screen, my third screen, my high-speed connection? Do you have the communication tool with my customers? So either CRM or whatever, to when I need to be in touch with the customer, I have all the information. So you have the kind of the tooling, which is relatively easy to set up. And after you have the culture, what type of employer do you want to be? How do you want to serve your customer? Do you want to be the company that goes the extra mile? And I say it was a quote from Richard Branson, and no disrespect for BA staff, but you know the kind of Virgin Atlantic experience versus the BA British Airways experience. So where basically it was a bit more pleasant to travel on Virgin Atlantic. At least it was the image that was created. So the culture is really what will help you to make your employees your advocate. And do you do business where companies where employees are happy to be there or not? If employees are happy, you will have happy customer. This is what it means.
Okay, well, that's clear. Do you believe that all employees are happy working from their home? Don't we miss the environment of the office?
Yeah. So that's a really good question and very important one. I think people who say, well, happy to work from home are usually people who are, living with partners or have children. And, because of the fantastic weather we had, fantastic, for example, in London, since Corona hit, it has been great. But if you live on your own, in a flat with no outdoor space, and you haven't been able to meet your family, your friends, haven't been able to travel, and basically being on your own most of the time for the past 5-6 months, this must have been difficult. And I think, this kind of work from home culture, employers will need to ensure that there is a mental health check and for their employees. And I know that some employers in the city, for example, have reopened some offices purely for employees that feel the need to get out of the house.
Yeah, to socialize.
So well-being is not just life-work balance, but also being sure that you can trust and measure this well-being and act when you detect that something is not right. Once again, we are all adjusting in this new strange working from home lifestyle. So I think there will be more lessons learned earlier next year, when we will have enough data and basically we will be able to take actions on evidence.
Clear, thank you. Well, it's obvious that we will be working more from the home, more remotely. Organizations are investing in all kinds of tools to do so and to allow us to share information with teams and clients and partners, etc. What technology do you think that we need at this moment to share this knowledge? Should we use tools like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, or should we focus on collaboration and clouds and platforms? What are your thoughts on that?
All these tools have been there for more than a decade. Okay, I've been using SharePoint. I think the first version was back very early in 2000s. Skype video calls, it's like mid 2000s. So basically, it's like we had these tools, and for whatever reason, it took a lot of time, for adoptions in companies and for the staff, to get used to them. I understand that the first version of SharePoint were quite awful to use. It was quite complex. Well, right now it's pretty much you don't realize that your documents are in the cloud. Okay, you don't really, it doesn't matter. And also, we have a generation coming down the workforce that have only used digital tools. So for, storing things on the cloud extra is very natural. They used to store their holiday photos on the cloud before, etc. So there's also a generational shift, basically. That happens naturally, and that was expected. In terms of tooling, so Zoom, etc., cloud is mostly not for storage, but for computing. You may remember that basically it was able to basically scale your servers to be able to face some huge spike in server consumption. For imagine, if you work 9 to 5, you will have your servers 9 to 5, and after the rest of the day it's 0. So there was no point to pay for servers during the night. What is important, I think, right now, it's automation and machine learning. That's to say, and Bill Gates said, if you automate an inefficient process, you will only magnify the inefficiency of the process. So that's why when I say automation, it's not go on rush to buy automation tool or whatever. No. It's really to understand how your company operates. So what are the KPIs? What are the processes? Is it an internal KPI? Do you serve yourself or do you serve your customer? If you don't serve your customer, it doesn't worth do something with that. And use your data basically to better understand how to be more efficient. So for me, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and if you're in manufacturing, Internet of Things, industrial Internet of Things, in a bit longer term, everything that the 5G will bring via the smart cities, these are really the key topic for the next 5 years. But if right now, if I am, let's say, a middle-sized company, I will focus on what I can automate, because this will free valuable time for my staff and deliver value. For me, this is the key.
That's a very good advice that you're giving there, and you're swooping away my last question more or less, because that's what advice could you give to the viewers in which step they should take first? You already said something about it, but could you add on that?
So just to continue, thank you. I'm going just to continue on my last answer. And I think September, it's a time to step back. It has been, everything we've done since March, moving emergency mode in companies, cutting investment, etc. Okay, step back. Let's reconnect. What has really changed? Is our market still there? Are our customers still there? Do we need to produce product and services differently because our customer needs have changed? How do we support to staff? Is 80% of the staff okay to continue working this way? And what are the changes that we need to perform? So for the 20% that really, for which it doesn't work for whatever reason. So is your market still there? And that's a big question. Are your customers there and happy? Are they using your product and services differently? And once again, having the data is critical. And based after that, to say how you make your staff basically supporting your customers. So this is really, I think, September, kids are back to school. It has been a strange break. Everybody will have thought about it, and it's time for reflection. And like this for Q4, basically it will be to put in action and implement the changes that you and your staff are going to notice. It's not something that's going to come, from the think tank or for a large strategic consulting, because they can see the trends at the macro level, and right now you need to act micro level. So only you will know what is right for you. So so that's it. So that's step back.
So take time in September to stand back and contemplate on everything that happened. Well, thank you very much for your great advice. It was really a pleasure listening to you. Thank you to the viewers for viewing this episode of Open Up Digitals with Cyril Coste. Cyril, thank you very, very much. and
Thank you.
hope to speak to you sometime in the future. Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.